Let's get qualifying underway. Welcome to the Hungarian Grand Prix. Welcome to LSI round 8 out of 14. We are into the second half of the season officially now. We've got 7 minutes on the clock and we've got Sir Max on pole by one hell of a margin. 5 tenths currently over their fellow countryman, and third in the championship rival Charlie, who's currently in the pit lane as they enter to get ready for their next run. We've got a 14.032 for Nifo and a 14.253 for Igor Verf. Top 5 immediately jumped or bumped down by Frantic, who goes and puts a .991 in. The third driver to be in the 13s today so far. Brilliant lap there from Frantic. Welcome back to LSI, welcome back after the week break. I cannot wait, I've been waiting for this one for a long time. The Hungarian Grand Prix can always be an absolute cracker. This is going to be awesome. We have Nifo, who has had some pretty good races in, well, I say more recent times compared to the later times. Silverstone, really unfortunate in the sprint race, and then the DRS games just didn't go their way in in the main race, sorry. And then in Saudi, it was a P2 for Nifo, who managed to hold on to the back of the time penalty range. So they're only on the up performance-wise. It's just whether everything goes their way for the rest of it. Eager Pro, they jump ahead of Charlie. They've had a win to open this season. They're looking to try and get a podium as they did here last season in Hungary. This should be a pretty good track for the Serbian driver. Will it all work out? We're going to go to Heischler quickly, who unfortunately had a DNF back in Silverstone. It was good to see them race there. We now see them back again. And last time this season in Hungary, we saw one of the most intense championship battles really heat up around this circuit. It was very difficult between Nifo and Heischler. Yeah, they're going to have to try and take that away and come back on a fresh slate, as everything is very different and they can just drive outright. It's only round 8. There's a long well, I say there's a long way to go. It's actually gonna go very quickly. It will go in no time at all. That is the .382 there from Sir Maxon, who just set that improvement lap. A brilliant job indeed. We will go to Heischler, who will be out on track. We're actually going to see Peanuts, who's currently out on track, who's just set their next lap time. 14.596. Peanuts has just come back, or come off of the back of a Silverstone F1.5 win. Didn't quite win in their own tier, of course, but after over 400 days, they've managed to get another victory to their name. Let's just see if we can get it to be an F1 victory this season. It was in dramatic fashion as well, done in the final few corners alongside Jericho Willis. An absolutely awesome race we had there with the tricky conditions despite the low numbers. It was brilliant. Heischler now about to start the lap. We'll head into turn 1, braking just before the curb, I believe. You could take very different lines through the first corner. You can explore a lot. They hit that inside curb a little bit too hard, which did skip the car over the gravel. It's going to lose them a little bit of time, but P7 right now, they can still try and make some progress here, going through 3 and up to 4. 3 minutes on the clock. They've not got long to go. They could back off on this lap and then go again. Actually, I say that. They've actually run out of battery, so they're going immediately back into the pit lane or something. I'm not entirely sure. We're going into the chicane and they are going, I was going to say full send. I think they're going back into the pit lane and they're going to come back out again. Maybe they forgot about their battery or something, but we'll see. We'll see what Heischler can do. 14.3 to their name at the moment. We've got Devon Young, who's currently back at the pack at the moment, only by a tenth or so, but they have had some pretty good performance in recent times as well. They've got that sprint race victory in Silverstone. Unfortunately, a time penalty in Saudi and in Silverstone did lose them out a little bit in those 2 races. But we did see we did see some good performance, and we're hoping that Devon can try and get that Grand Prix victory some point this season. They do have a decent amount of points in that. in the championship. So, you know, never say never. Things could change quickly. If they can put the performance in, it could work out quite nicely. We've got Heischler, who's going to go out again on this same set of tyres, despite still not really having much battery at all. I don't know if they're going for another cooldown run, but 1.8 seconds off the pace at the moment. That's not going to gain them anything. We've got Devon Young, who is going to get maybe a little bit of a tow from his teammate as we go to turn 4. It's an interesting place to get the tow done, but they're going to try it. It's going to be more of a blockage, and that's a second or third time this season so far these guys have tried to train, and it's ended up not going quite so well. It is difficult to train, but to try and train at that part of the circuit, it's a strange one, and it didn't work at all. So Devon's going to lose out on a bit of performance there. We'll go over the curbs and we'll see them go into the S section and head towards Sector 3. And we'll watch the delta time as they go over track limits. They're going to be a little bit disappointed with that one. They've backed off on the battery and they'll continue on their way. So they'll go again, half a tenth up, but they will do one final run here. That's Heischler in the pit lane. They will not improve. It will be a P6 for them or lower. It's going to be Devon Young to go next. It's going to be Sir Maxon, though, the current pole sitter, to try and improve one more time. A .701 Nifo has right now. They've closed the gap. They are making progress, the closest driver on track at the moment. But these final runs is where the track is at its quickest. It's fully evolved. It's rubbered in. And we've got Sir Maxon rubbering in the track a bit more as they squirm on the exit of turn 2. Up 3, into 4. Trying to go as fast as they can. Carry that speed hard into the apex. And up through 5. Dancing with the rear end, sending it into the chicane and over the sausage curves as you can. Just try and get the car straightened up and allow it to kind of position itself on the exit there, and then letting the engine braking to do the work in the S section to slow you down. Other than that, you just keep it absolutely flat out and you hope that it's going to be enough. Final few corners into the final complex of the circuit, and pretty smooth right now. Be careful of the exit curve or the entry curve on the outside there. They managed to navigate it very nicely. The final corner, just wait, get back on the throttle once again. DRS, that's it for Sir Maxon. It's going to be a .266. Will Nifo be able to respond? Will anybody be able to respond? It's Igor who finishes their session. It is going to be a .939 for them. Tom goes to P6. What else can happen here? Will we see anything else? Devon Young will not improve and will start P10. Charlie, a .659. They get to P2 ahead of Nifo, but nowhere else. Will we see anybody try and compete, or is it going to be all over? Is it going to be Sir Maxon's pole position once again? The final corner for Nifo Jan. And they will not be able to get there. They will be just ahead of Charlie. A brilliant effort, though. A .637. That is the perfect spot to sit behind Sir Maxon and take it into this race. Will they? Will they maybe be able to get a leap into the first corner? We will find out. It's this man who's once again on pole position for the Grand Prix this season. Lovely stuff indeed. That is their fifth pole this season. Fifth pole this season. Sir Maxon takes pole, Nifo in P2, and then we've got Charlie in P3. The race director is on your screen right now. And I just want to double check. Yep, fifth pole this season. He is on fire at the moment, and that is their fourth pole in a row. Perfect stuff. We'll see you in a bit for the race. Ready? Hold! Go! Who's going to get it into turn one? If on the inside line, Sir Maxon on pole position. Will Charlie be able to get there into turn one? No, Eagles on the inside line. And is going for the move on the racing ball, but it's frantic around the outside, opening the steering and having an epic opening corner. But Nifo leads the Grand Prix here in Hungary. Absolutely incredible. As I thought in qualifying, it may happen. And Nifo has got the job done and has got the jump on a rival here in the championship. That is going to be frantic ahead, and they do get that P3. A hell of a mix-up off the start, and we are in for a very good race. I am sure of it. Let's get that data up on the screen as we can do so. We want to have a look at the tyres. A hard tyre for Heichler once again to start the Grand Prix, and Devon Young starting at the back is going to try and do something a little bit different. Let's see how that goes for them in a couple of laps time. Nifo leads the way. No contest from Sir Maxon around Hungary. You're not really going to get a better opportunity to overtake except from turn 1 and turn 2. Waiting behind, DRS will kick in on the following lap as well. It usually is on lap 2, but we're not going to be able to get it until we get to the straight to start lap 3. Nifo goes fastest. Will Sir Maxon try and get into that spot? I don't quite know, but you can see Nifo trying to break the toe to the rest of the cars behind. Tom Robb sits right behind. Heichler 8/10 to the back of the Red Bull. They've got to try and find a little bit more. That would be crucial. That would really help their race for later on and give them a very, very good chance to try and take victory here in Hungary, but it wouldn't be easy. Peanuts Verf, they're breaking away from Devon Young, and Devon has given it their best, but unfortunately with that hard tyre, it's just not working out so far. That being said, we do have to remember this circuit is very cruel to that medium. You're going to start dropping off around 6-7 laps into the race, and then the hard tyre will start absolutely flying, and we're still going to want to try and go to around about 10 to 14 laps on this medium tyre anyway, so you do have a long way to go when those tyres are super dead. Devon Young, Heichler, they do have to try and make the progress on that hard tyre though. That is the problem, and that is something that Heichler is really working with quite nicely to try and get themselves that DRS. That is something that Devon Young is going to have to try and make up for later on. Now, DRS is available for the Ferrari, and it's going to be turn 1, the outside line, not the inside line. Nifo goes defensive and will maintain that spot. They will maintain it. Maybe there's a bit of a risk for turn 2, but no. There is going to be no contest, and they stay where they are. Heichler holds on to DRS, and they do get what they needed, and they are going to be in a very good position, as I have said just before, in this race. They're going to have a bit of pressure from Peanuts surely behind, who's going to try and make sure that they slow down Heichler for the sake of their teammate. Peanuts still want to try and do the best as they can for themselves, but as the Ferrari team, they do need to try and score as many points as they can. Currently, just 2 points behind the championship leaders Mercedes in the Constructors. With Zingy not being here today, that could very much change, which is such a shame for the Mercedes team. But it's the way it's gone so far, and it's the way it's going to have to be, and it's going to be Nifo to try and take everything on for the team here in Hungary. They can focus on themselves. It's going to be DRS once again for Sir Maxon though, and it is going to be a possible overtaking manoeuvre into turn 1. Will Frantic try and follow on as well? That's the question. They're going to be pushing a little bit surely as well. No, they will not, but it is going to be Sir Maxon further ahead this time. It's going to be diving to the inside line as Nifo to try and defend that position again, keeping the Ferrari behind. The Ferrari's on the inside, but they're not quite going to be overlapping fully. They're still going to send it. They've got the outside line now to the inside, now back to the outside. It's Frantic who's finding a way through, and there to P2 up the hill. No, the Ferrari will get the job done, and it's now going to bring the Racing Bull into the pack. The Racing Bull tries to swing it around the outside, but has to back off, otherwise they would have lost that position to Eager Pro in the Aston Martin. Absolutely awesome racing, absolutely perfect defending from Nifo right there, and a brilliant opportunity spotted by Frantic that just quite didn't work. And the same goes for Charlie, of course. Lovely stuff that we've got in the opening laps. We've got Heischler already looking quick, already looking to try and make some moves here and there. Would they go for the move into turn 1 on Tom Robb? I bet you they will. Definitely. They're not going to be waiting any point in this race. They will be going full attack. It gives them the best chance in this Grand Prix. We have to stay with the race leaders though, as it's going to be Sir Maxon once again having a look to the outside line. This time they're much further ahead. Niffo once again throws exactly the same move, but it's not going to go their way. They will have to wait behind, and they will stay behind. They're going to look to go around the outside line. They're going to look to try and stick their nose in and have a go to the inside of turn 3. And this, believe it or not, is actually going to possibly work. They're going to run up the hill. DRS and ERS is not available for Niffo. ERS is available for the Ferrari, and they will have to wait. Still not giving in, trying to hold the outside line, but no, the tyres are screaming, the tyres are done, and they drop down the order, and they drop down to P4. That is a valiant effort there from the Mercedes driver, but now Frantic is in P2 and they're the one to try and attack. Charlie, P3, they're a couple tenths behind Frantic. They're going to be hungry to make that move as they can see things change, but it's Heischler who's on the hunt, and they are going to be flying. They made that move into turn 1 on Tom Robb, and now Igor is up next on the menu. Once again, Heischler isn't going to be waiting for anyone. They don't have much energy, but they definitely have the grit. They had a good run there on the Aston Martin driver, and I think they might fancy their chances into the first corner. Under braking, they will not. They will not fancy their chances. There's a big mistake right there. I don't know if that was from Niffo or Igor, but it allows Heischler to have a little bit of a run. They have to back off. They weren't quite far enough, and they will stay where they are. It's going to be Frantic, 3/10 behind. Charlie can't find a way through in this train. They just have to sit behind and allow things to go as they are. This and next lap is where I would have expected the tyres to drop off. Heischler proved that it was kind of a little bit different, and it was actually a lot earlier, but it's just that they're going to probably hit a harder and harder cliff as we go throughout the laps. It's really going to start to take effect on lap 7, and it's only going to get worse, and I think we'll see Heischler into the lead of the Grand Prix in a matter of time. It's not a if, it's a when. 8/10, Sir Maxon's just pulled there to Frantic, and they're going to have to try and do something here, Charlie, to try and get a slingshot off of Frantic to see if they can make sure that they don't lose any more time to Sir Maxon. Whether Frantic will cooperate or not, I don't quite know, but they've got 4 tenths to the back of the Alpine. That's a lot of work for the battery to do. It's not impossible. There's actually no DRS on the back of that Alpine, so they had to go for the move. They had to try and make it work, and now the Polish driver has got to try and push with everything they possibly can. Was that contact there with Frantic on the rear end of Charlie? I don't know, but the race winner, the multiple race winner, the 3-time race winner so far this season, is now out of DRS range, and they've got everything to do. 0.0 of a second though, it's gonna be possible. This is crucial in this Grand Prix. This will decide a lot. Not everything, but it will decide a lot. Charlie has got the pace just earlier on in the lap. Do they have it in the middle and final sector? That is the question. 0.2 of a second now. Sir Maxon's had a phenomenal chicane and really cut it nicely, got the job done very smoothly, and they continue to eke out the gap throughout the rest of the lap. Final 10th to go. Will they be able to find a bit more, or is Charlie going to bring it back here in these next few corners? It will be incredibly difficult to do so, and they do actually end up losing more time. Sir Maxon has broken away, and exactly what Niffo feared has happened, and there you go. Sir Maxon, the Ferrari, is leading. Frantic tries to go for the move into the first corner. It's going to be Heischler trying to make the move in on Igor as they lock the rears, and that is going to be move aborted. That is really, really unfortunate right there, and not what they were hoping, especially with the tyre advantage that they have on lap 8. Not able to get the job done on the Aston Martin quite so safely. I think they were a bit scared about hitting Niffo up in front, and they avoided it nicely, but it's not what they're looking for. They're looking to try and make moves and then catch up to Sir Maxon. currently, realistically, Frantic and Charlie and Nifo and Igor, they're all praying that Heisler does actually make that move, but he needs to try and make it stick. He can't force the other cars to slow down to let him go. He does have to try and utilize the tyre, otherwise there is no point of the strategy. They've got to find a bit more. 4 tenths to the back of Igor. Would they be able to get it by turn 1? Lap 8 out of 35. We've got a long way in this Grand Prix to go. And another switch. Charlie now leads the train. Igor watches behind. Heisler doesn't catch back up and actually loses the train. Do they have DRS on the back of that car? They do so. So that's an interesting one. They've got to work together here. Well, I say work together. They've got to work harder with the lap times at the moment. They've got to focus after that mistake. They can do it. They know they can. They are capable. It's just got to all come together. Nifo very tight over the apex of turn 4. Hopefully they didn't go over track limits, but if they did, that's an interesting way to do it on the inside of turn 4. Bit blind. It's going to be Frantic who goes off camera and off the track. Oh no, no, no. P6 down they go. It's going to bring Tom back into this DRS train. It's going to make the gap a little bit bigger between Nifo and Charlie. Not too big, fortunately, for Nifo, and they'll be able to bring that back quite easily. And now they are going to be trying to work together with Charlie here. But that is such a brilliant performance in the opening laps here for Frantic. Now tainted by a little bit of a moment. They're still in this train, very much so though. They've got DRS just about, so they can bring this back, but that was a big risk there. Charlie, 3.0 seconds right now. Nifo did not make that move into the first corner. Ultimately, they had 6 tenths to try and bring back here on Nifo, so they do have to wait it out. As they were trying to catch that gap a little bit first, maybe save a bit of battery too, and then bring it back. Frantic with those cooked tyres, just maybe not having quite an easy time to bring that gap back. They have found a little bit as they go through turn 4 and 5, so maybe all is well, but they definitely have to lock in and get it all back together, otherwise it could be a bit of a struggle. In the meantime, we have seen Tom Robb get back in within DRS of Frantic just for a moment. Peanuts is right behind the back of Tom Robb. Devon Young isn't too far away, but not having the best time on that hard tyre. Then it's Verf currently in P10 who has made that pit stop. So Maxon leading the way by 3.5 seconds now. The gap is only getting bigger. Nifo wasn't able to close in overall on Charlie, in fact losing 2 tenths instead. So that's not made it very easy at all. This time Sir Maxon and Zingy will not be fighting as they did back in Silverstone. We are going to get a fight once again as Heisler tries to make it work on the exit. Will it be theirs? Will Igor fight it? Igor is going to back off as they go to turn 2. There isn't really any point at the moment. And now Heisler has to try and get these tyres working. Try and get this train back to Sir Maxon. Otherwise, it's game over. Before the pit stops, that is, it's going to be a very tough task. As I was saying, we don't have Sir Maxon to battle with Zingy, and Sir Maxon is free to escape. Zingy would have been pretty quick here. They were fighting for the win against Pursoon this time last season, but didn't happen in the end as there was a few mistakes for the Scotsman that caused them to lose out. That was Pursoon's last race victory. I don't know if it was their last race or not, but it was definitely their last victory in LSI. Heisler currently P4, 2 cars directly ahead of them in this train. They've got to try and get a clean move. We're going to get Nifo diving into the pit lane, and that will give Heisler an opportunity to maybe have a look on Charlie immediately. Do they have the battery to fight it? I think Charlie is a little bit too far ahead to actually make that work, and they will just wait behind. There's going to be no dive. Now, that is also a pit stop from Frantic. It's not a pit stop from Eagle, who will now be in the back of this train and good to go. But Heischler has to try and push. Charlie, of course, is now the lead car as Sir Maxon made that pit stop. So that's why Nifo made the call to follow in as well. They wanted to stay on the same pit window as the Ferrari. Currently, it's a big question, as we're now going to see Devon Young ahead of their teammate for the first time. This hard tyre has started to pick up for Devon. They've had to work really hard at this one. It seems to have been a bit of a struggle, but eventually they seem to have got this hard tyre switched on and working nicely. And of course, these two do share the same pit box, so they have to try and work things out. I think we might see Tom into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Devon Young, on the other hand, is not going to be going into the pit lane. Well, I assume so, that they will not. It's Heischler now released into clean air. It's Egapro and Tom, as expected, into the pit lane, along with Charlie, who now drops down the order. And they will drop behind Sir Maxon a little bit, but just how much by, we don't quite know. The two hard tyres lead the Grand Prix. Sir Maxon will pass the pit lane exit and be absolutely, massively far ahead. Now, back in F1 22, we did see Nifo do an overcut and still catch up to the back of Zingy to compete for the Grand Prix victory. It's not easy to do, and I've only ever seen it been done once around this circuit. It was an absolutely awesome drive from Nifo that day, but it's not going to be so simple. Now it's a 5.8 second gap that Nifo has to Sir Maxon. A phenomenal outlap there for Sir Maxon. Same tyres for Nifo at the moment. Charlie is just outside of DRS range, and they've got Frantic, who's on those warm hards and close behind, but they just need to find a little bit more to stay with the back of the Mercedes driver, and they'll be good to go. Currently, Charlie is 18 points behind the championship leader, Sir Maxon, their fellow countryman. They just need to try and bring back the gap, or the points that they lost in the two races that they didn't attend at the start of this season, and they will be very much so in this battle. Sir Maxon, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Big bit of understeer there for Charlie in the final corner. Now, things can definitely change in the championship, and Charlie should not give up on this one. It's a very, very tall order, but we've got over half, well, I say over, we've got half the season left to go. We've only done half the season so far. It can very much switch completely on its head. 5.4 seconds to Devon Young, 4.6 seconds to Sir Maxon. Devon Young has on the Ferrari driver. 6.7 seconds Nifo has to Sir Maxon. There's a few big gaps up front. They shouldn't be getting in the way of one another, I assume so at least, but maybe, just maybe, Devon Young might not decide to pit, and that could put Sir Maxon in a little bit of a compromised situation, as the tyres will definitely be very drastic, and if Devon was to be ahead throughout the lap, and it would be a very difficult opportunity or a difficult task for Sir Maxon to overtake, then maybe there could be an opportunity for the cars behind to catch up. And looking at the gaps, Sir Maxon has gained an absolutely mega amount of time on that Red Bull. It's very, very impressive, that gap that they've just closed up at the moment. It's pretty scary indeed. We're going to get Charlie to the inside line on Nifo. Charlie's still going to be there on the inside. Nifo's going to try and maybe bring it around the outside, but then they eventually back off on the exit and let that move go. On the exit, it was almost equal, and with the DRS that Charlie had there, Nifo knew it wouldn't be worth fighting, and they just let that one happen. And now Charlie leads the train. We're going to get Devon Young just up in front, ahead of Samaxon. 7.6 seconds between Charlie and Samaxon. How will that change? Will it change at all? Or has Samaxon found Devon Young in the perfect opportunity? They've caught up in this middle part, and then it's completely changed. They are defending. They're trying to keep them behind. They are doing what they can. Those tyres are old, but I don't know if they're that old. They are trying to make something happen here with their difficult strategy, trying to get any kind of advantage for their teammate. ERS, DRS is being used. Samaxon will have a clear run into the first corner. Devon Young, the outside line, they're having a look, but it's not quite going to happen. They will not be able to hold on for any longer, and they fought with everything they could. They tried to bring it back a little bit, and they did so, well, I say, they maintained the gap, but realistically, it doesn't seem to have made much of a difference. That being said, we look at the gap now, it is changing. So he's done a little bit of work there for the rest of the guys behind to try and make this race a little bit more interesting for their sake as well, as they do have a fair few points on the board for their championship. They want to try and make sure that the Ferrari driver doesn't break away as much as they currently are. You can see those ride heights are pretty high off the floor for ground effect cars. We've got Devon Young, who is I'd say pretty high as well. Not maybe as high as Samaxon right there. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work out. Nifo currently P5, and they are on the back of this train at the moment. Staying behind, we've got Igor, who has not really had too much attention in this race so far, but they've been on the back of the train for pretty much the entire time. As I said last season, getting a podium here, could they try and do it again? They are in contention here by putting themselves in this train. Frantic, despite having that mistake earlier on, is still in a good position as well. We're going to get Nifo ahead of the Polish driver, making a mistake on the exit though, and it's going to be Charlie trying to have a go and stick in front. Nifo wants to try and maintain it, but they're just going to fight. I don't know why they're fighting. It's an interesting one. Charlie eventually has to back off. They were going to lose it anyway, so I don't quite know why they decided to go side by side right there. Obviously, into turn 2, I thought that Charlie was going to take it, but then Nifo did try and push a little bit harder. You'd expect them to kind of sort it between themselves, but it didn't quite work out that way, and now they lose even more time to the Ferrari. That red car is very, very quick and catching to the back of the McLaren. Will the McLaren pit before they get there though? That is the question. Basically, are they going to pit this lap or next lap? Heischler passes the pit lane and does not go into the pit lane. They will stay out on track. Nifo, Charlie, Frantic, Igor are all catching the back of Devon Young. 2.8 seconds. When are they going to be catching? And will Devon Young try and defend a little bit more for these cars to bring Tom Rob back or further into the points here? Because currently they are P10. Devon Young is expected to drop further behind. We see Charlie ahead of Nifo in the end. Going quite wide there, but they are ahead ultimately. They have the DRS and they do have that move. Now 1.3 seconds. Charlie's going to be catching, and they're probably going to be in a very similar position as Samaxon was when they caught to the back of that Red Bull car. They'll have just a couple of corners stuck behind it, but they are actually a bit further behind than Samaxon was. As you can see, they do get to these final few corners though. Will that Red Bull go into the pit lane? Heischler hasn't done so, and Samaxon will make that move on the DRS straight. Charlie is about to do exactly the same thing. Samaxon to the inside line. It's going to be Charlie likely on the inside. Devon puts themselves slightly to the middle. Charlie goes through, and Nifo has to try and make it work, but they will not get close enough. They were braking super late with the grip on that car, and you could see they were having a go. They're going to have to try and make it work into turn 2. They have to send it to the inside. They do send it to the inside. Devon doing everything they can, pushing with all their might. It's going to be Frantic on the exit, getting a good run, but not good enough to make the momentum work. And they're instead going to have to look at somewhere a bit more unorthodox if they want to stay with the train. But currently lagging a little bit, which is going to hinder their performance. They are stuck behind the Red Bull in the corners, and that is going to be crucial. A mistake there for Devon with a time penalty, and now they will be losing that train. Such a shame. Now that train is gone, we don't get to see the anticipation throughout the rest of the Grand Prix. It is what it is. A big mistake there for Devon Young, and Frantic is going to try and make it work. Not quite in the right way, but Igor will sit behind and they will wait to see what's going to happen. Devon drops behind, and now Igor will be looking to make that move quite swiftly on the exit. They will get the grip. They go immediately to the inside line. They're going to try and go for the drag race. Devon pushing with everything they can again to try and allow anything, to try and bring them anything in this race with a very difficult strategy, but nothing will happen and they will be passed. Now, we've got half a second between Igor and Frantic, but we've got a second between Frantic and Nifo, and we've got a 1.1 second gap between Nifo and Charlie. So currently, the top three in this train are not really a train anymore, but they are going to be pushing to the absolute limit. They are going to be pushing with everything they can. Igor's going to have to try and help Frantic out here, I think. Nifo's just done enough to get back within DRS range, more or less. It's touch and go at this stage. It's a bit different for Frantic's story. He's 0.4 seconds now behind the Mercedes driver. 9/10. Nifo cannot afford to make a mistake throughout the next few corners. Charlie also in the same position. They're trying to catch up to the back of the hard tyre runner of Heischler. Heischler's still got a way to go in this Grand Prix to try and avoid the medium tyres dropping off too much later on. That being said, are they just trying to go a little bit longer to see if they can get to P2 in this race? Because getting to P2, if a safety car was to come out, would definitely make things quite sweet for them. Igor does make that move ahead of Frantic to try and make something change, but it's not actually really going to work out, as they actually lost 0.3 instead. Devon Young does drop to the back of the pack now on that medium tyre. Currently 3.6 seconds is Heischler away from Sir Maxon. Sir Maxon not needing to stress at all, and they can relax completely. Charlie will be catching the back of the Ferrari or the McLaren at some point in the next couple of laps. But I do believe that we will see Heischler into the pit lane quite possibly before that. I'm not entirely sure what Heischler's strategy is here, but they are trying, it seems, to go a long way. Maybe it is just a little bit of a ballsy move. That's what they're looking for. Devon Young, 10th position now, still looking to get a point here, but 8.8 seconds behind Verf at the moment. That is a difficult task. 9 seconds for Tom as they just get overtaken by Peanuts, currently in P8, or they overtake Peanuts, I should say. 3 seconds for Peanuts themselves, 6 seconds for Verf, and 3 seconds for Devon Young. Those are the only time penalty runners except from Charlie, who has just managed to get themselves in a bit of trouble, and now 0.8 behind Nifo is. They are going to have a brilliant opportunity at getting this podium. Unfortunate timing indeed. Commentators curse without even mentioning their name, and it happens. 3 seconds away from Heischler, however. They're trying to push the limits a bit more. You can see as they absolutely slide that car through turn 11, pushing to the limits into 12. And then we go through 13 and 14, the final corner. Sir Maxon now makes it 6.5 seconds. Racing Boys pushing the limits on the exit, trying to find everything they can. Nifo's on the edge of DRS, dancing with it every single lap. And pushing with what they can at least. 1.9 seconds Igor's got to the back of Nifo. They're holding on nicely considering they don't have DRS, but these two are really quite struggling at the moment to hold on to the back of the, or to try and catch up to the back of the cars ahead. It's a tough job around Hungary. It's very hard work turning the wheels left and right very often with so many corners and not really many straights or overtaking zones. That's the nature of this circuit. It requires so much focus. It's a very, very tough hurdle indeed throughout the calendar. 8.3 seconds is now the gap. Charlie is almost on the back of Heischler. Do they get the DRS? Yes, they do, as Heischler will immediately go into the pit lane after realizing DRS could be a problem. DRS is available for Charlie. That's now all of a sudden a problem for Nifo, because all of a sudden Charlie now has a bit of an advantage, and there is no chance, well, there is less of a chance for Nifo to catch up to the back of the Racing Bull. Nifo still has the advantage by being in the tow, but it's still less of an advantage as it would have been previously. 2.2 seconds is now the gap between Igor and Nifo as they get that DRS boost. Heischler, P8, still in the pit lane at the moment, but they will leave in P8. And they will be ahead of Devon Young. It's going to be Verf into the pit lane for a second time this race, and they go onto a second set of medium compound tyres. A frustrating one for Verf. They matched their best race result in Silverstone with a P7 after qualifying a brilliant P4. It didn't quite go their way in the Grand Prix, but they definitely are getting some good data in, ready for tomorrow's race where it really counts. They've had a tough time in their own tier F1.5, but it's not over until it's over. This man absolutely flying, thoroughly deserved with what they have at the moment. But as I said, it's not over until it's over. And they've got to just try and keep it consistent and give themselves the best chance at taking victory here. Charlie P2, Nifo losing that DRS range. We now do see a big problem here. Frantic not opting to go for the move here on Ega Pro. Not finding the confidence to be able to make that move from where they were coming out of that final corner to then have an advantage and make a train work, I'd assume. And they will stay behind for the time being. Peanuts 12 seconds behind the cars in front as they have Tom for company. Tom and Peanuts have Heischler for company, who is going to be very, very quick and very, very hungry. But when will they be able to make moves on these fresh tyres? I don't quite know. That is going to be possibly a track limit there, as Heischler was trying to spot an opportunity that wasn't really there, and then it ended up losing out instead. They're trying to brake as hard as they can to make sure they don't go into the back of the older hard tyre runners. Now, turn 11 is going to be an opportunity to get a move into turn 12, as that is Peanuts going very, very slowly. That's going to be one move already, and it's not really going to be contested, surely. No, Tom will try and have a go, but they've ended up making contact already with Heischler before they even got through the corner. DRS is now available here. No, Tom's still trying to have a go. There's contact with the rear end. No way is that going to work out. DRS is now available to the McLaren, and that will be the position gained. So Maxon is not going to be, well, they're going to be wanting Peanuts to defend a little bit, but I don't think Peanuts really has an option to do anything. We're going to see Tom to try and send it down the inside of Peanuts in the battle of all of this, and they successfully do so. That is a brilliant, brilliant job done. Perfect opportunity spotted with the DRS. Absolute full send. They've got it. It's now a 10-second gap that Simexon has to Charlie, continuing to extend. Nifo is trying to bring that back to that 1 second. They know as long as they stay within DRS range, they cannot lose this position to Charlie. Charlie having that time penalty at the moment. Ega Pro 2.1 seconds. They're trying to do everything they can to stay within Charlie's time penalty range, so that could be very interesting for their sake, of course. 4/10 to Frantic. Frantic is a reserve driver along with Verf, but they are still racing for position at the moment. They've just got to make sure they are very careful in what they do, of course. 27 out of 35. And these guys are giving it everything they can to find an answer to Samaxon. But Samaxon is just currently dialed in. Dialing in for now is Heischler. Faster tyres right now, 11.8 seconds to the back of Frantic. They're trying to make this strategy work, and it will be working for the next few laps, but it's not going to be easy. We will go to the man in the moment at the moment, and we'll watch on board. Turn 3 cutting it quite hard. Up through turn 4, the grip should be plentiful. 11.5 seconds. We'll see what they have the gap down to when we come out of the chicane. 0.3 already. And then on the exit, we'll get to a 0.0. 10.9. This is where the car definitely will be coming alive with the grip. This is the opportunities that you get. This is what Heischler is hoping the entire lap to be. When you have the better tyre, you just want the whole circuit to have so many corners. You don't want it to have any straights. When you go for the overcut, then you want to try... Sorry, when you go for the undercut, you want to hope that there's so many straights, because then you can stay ahead a lot easier. Currently, Heischler doing a good job. 10.6 seconds now. Frantic and Igor do switch positions in the meantime. Nifo just on the edge of DRS range. They didn't quite get it, I don't think, last lap, but they are close and they are competitive. Would we see a risk of a tyre puncture? I don't think so. I don't think we should be worrying about that at all. 9.4 seconds. Heischler is catching up. They will not be getting a penalty in this Grand Prix, even though they're pushing as hard as they are, and they need to continue to do so. There should not be a puncture at any point. 16 lap-old hard tyres. They'll be absolutely fine to go to the end as well. Now making that 17 as we see them cross the line. That is Samaxon, of course. Charlie, Nifo, Frantic and Igor will very soon be adding an extra lap to their tyre life. As they do so in the meantime, Igor will not go for the move on Frantic into the first corner. Frantic will lead once again for their little train. 11.3 seconds in the meantime. Charlie is broken from Samaxon. As we see closing up, 8.4 seconds is Heischler to Igor. Still making that progress, but those tyres are going to be difficult to deal with later on. Will they be able to get to the back of the Aston Martin, or is it just not going to work out? Positions gained. Heischler's currently gained 1 position by doing this strategy. Is that the right call for them? That's now 6 seconds there for Charlie. That's an interesting one. 6-second time penalty. And currently Frantic and Igor will be looking at making this move. Heischler maybe even also trying to make that move. Charlie making a mistake in the meantime as well, whilst getting that penalty, bringing Nifo right back into this battle. And now Charlie has to try and break away with Nifo. They have to try and work together or something, because they need to try and make sure that they lose minimal points to the championship leader. Igor and Frantic are going to be able to work together as they switch positions into the first corner. But Charlie is hoping that that's not the case, and hoping that they can try and gain a little bit more. Lap 30 out of 35. It's not looking great for Charlie, and they're going to be losing even more points to the back of Samaxon, who's currently looking to try and get 20 points to their name. Charlie could end up looking at 10 points, maybe even 8 points if it goes completely wrong, with Heischler making a good progress at the moment. Peanuts and Tom Rob continue to battle out on track at the moment. Peanuts stays ahead at the moment. It's actually bringing Devon Young into this battle as well. With the time penalties that they have right now, Tom doesn't really need to worry because they've got too many time penalties to worry about Devon, but 3 seconds for Peanuts and Devon Young That is something that they need to look at, and this is why Peanuts is being held up or fought by Tom. Tom wants to make sure that Devon has an opportunity to catch up. With Devon having that 9-lap or medium tyre, they're going to be quick, but those tyres will start to be a bit of a struggle later on, so it just depends on how they will be in the dying laps of the Grand Prix. Will Peanuts have the advantage over their former rival from the F1.5 tier, both being promoted into the F1 tier? 2.3 seconds back from his teammate is Devon Young. And there's only a few tenths between Tom and Peanuts themselves. Tom will not have a go into the first corner. They will have a go into the first corner and will continue to try and slow down the Red Bull, but not quite getting there throughout the rest of it. But there's contact as Tom makes contact with the rear of Peanuts, and that will allow Devon Young to get a brilliant gain. Very, very unfortunate there for Peanuts. Really frustrating as well. They have to focus and they have to stay in this and just be a bit more determined to stay in front. And I'm sure they will have that fire in them to be able to do something. But Tom needs to try and keep it clean. Otherwise, they could be in trouble. 12.2 seconds, and Nifo is still holding on to the back of Charlie. Charlie's lost their momentum from earlier on. It's just not quite working out. And with the time penalties, of course, to their name, it's going to make it even more difficult. They are working nicely with Nifo, though, to try and break away from the cars. Well, Nifo's not really fighting too hard at all. It's going to be Igor going into turn 1 and taking the racing line into that first corner. It's going to be 5.6 seconds now for Heischler behind Frantic. It's not closing up as quick as it was earlier on, and they are currently not within time penalty range. But look at who is also possibly not in time penalty range. Igor and Frantic. Charlie and Nifo have managed to match each other's pace now and really brought it up on the two cars behind to break away. Nifo is racing for themselves. Charlie can do what they want, and Nifo knows that they're going to finish ahead of Charlie, so they're just going to make sure that they take it to the end of the Grand Prix safely, and if it's going to help Charlie in the meantime, then they might as well do it. It's going to lose Charlie only 6 points instead of a potential 10 or so, or however many it was looking like earlier on with that second time penalty that kicked in. But 4.4 seconds, add another 3 tenths to that, they are very much almost out of time penalty range from Charlie going on to lap 33 out of 35. Crunch time is now. Nifo just holding on to the back of Charlie, allowing Charlie to focus very much so. They don't need to worry about making the move, and that allows Charlie to have a bit more of a calmer race. They see Verf up in front. Verf with not fresh hard tyres. They put it back onto a set of hard tyres, so they aren't going to be too quick. But still a bit quicker than Charlie and Nifo tyre life-wise. This is a long old race with very difficult tyre strategies. So Maxon didn't really need to worry about playing it to perfection with the pace advantage that they've had today. I think Charlie and Nifo have done everything they can. The answers just weren't enough. Eager Pro finding a bit more pace in this stage of the Grand Prix to give themselves the best chance at making this work. Frantic is currently outside of that 6-second time penalty range. All of a sudden, with the DRS that Nifo had to Charlie, they can push and they can bring that gap back up. So Igor has to focus on the second and third sector to try and get that podium and repeat what they did last season. It is on, it is very much on, and they've got a lap and a half to do something about it. Will it happen? No! Eagle gets a 3-second time penalty as we speak, and unfortunately it will not be the case. Frantic instead will go for P4, and Charlie is looking to stay a very strong P3 considering the circumstance that they are in at the moment. And your race leader is about to start the final lap of the Grand Prix. What a drive from them so far. They've come back from the break and they have been stronger than ever. You cannot doubt them. Absolutely phenomenal so far. Just one lap to go of this Grand Prix. Charlie and Nifo, they're breaking away, or they're trying to catch back up. Nifo will be making that move to get ahead just in case. What if those time penalties were fake? They do want to make sure that they're ahead. They've given it their best chance. 7.8 seconds as Igor now loses the gap, loses the position to Frantic. And unfortunately for Igor, with actually getting damage from that mistake, I did not realise, is now just going to have an even harder time. They will not need to worry about Heischler. They will need to worry about Heischler because they've got half a second leeway. Heischler was not able to bring back much of a gap, or as much of a gap. They've currently got 4 tenths to bring it back, to bring it home. 3 tenths. It's not looking great. Is it going to go to 2 tenths? It will do so. And this is going to be the most difficult part of the circuit with the S's, with damage. All of a sudden, Igor is going to look at missing another 2 points, dropping 4 points in just a matter of laps. What a shame. The final corner for the man on top. Sir Maxon once again wins in LSI. Absolutely incredible. You wouldn't believe it's his only second victory this season, but it's a brilliant one. It's Nifo who will stay and finish in P2, their second P2 of the season. It's going to be Charlie who will take that P3. It's going to be Frantic who will be ahead of Igor quite nicely across the line. It's going to be Igor who will lose out to Heischler in the end. Heischler P5. Brilliant result there, considering the circumstances for them. Peanuts has given it all they could, and it's worked out nicely. They will stay ahead of Tom, they'll stay ahead of Devon Young, and they will finish P7 in the end. Devon Young will get that position over their teammate. That's Verf, of course, across the line as well, earlier on from being lapped. What a race! What a race! Sir Maxon is going to be very happy with that one. A phenomenal drive, a phenomenal performance, and a brilliant point-scoring day for the Polish driver. The top step is all there. Sir Maxon takes victory. Nifo in P2. Then we've got Charlie, Frantic, Heischler the fastest lap. We've got Igor Pro in P6. And then Peanuts, Devon Young, Tom Robb and Verf. No DNFs in this Grand Prix. We export the session results. And we go to the race director just in case, as it can be pretty tricky around this circuit, of course. It's always worth having a quick look. We'll be back for the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone, welcome to the post-race interviews of the Hungarian Grand Prix. That was a long one for sure. Nifo, we start with you. A brilliant fight at the beginning, but unfortunately a little mistake at turn 5 just didn't quite go your way for the rest of it. Are you still happy with a P2?
I'm extremely happy, honestly. I think at the start I did everything correct, and I knew I'm quite okay with start, so I knew I had a chance to go in front of him. And at that point, it was kind of like defending up until he gets past you, just trying to like defend for your life, and it worked well up until lap 5. He gets past me, and then, I mean, it's a desperate move. But you know, Hungary is a really pure pace track. He was much faster. He was going to pull away. And I wasn't going to catch him, so I only had one choices was to try around the outside. Obviously, that doesn't work. You lose 2 positions because of it, but I don't regret it because I don't think there was any other choice I could have made at that point for my race personally, and probably the rest as well because I was dropping pace at that point. And yeah, I mean, from that point on, Frantic goes off and battling with Charlie for a bit till pit stops, even after pit stops, and pull away from the rest. And at that point, it was just driving 120%. I feel like my 120% is other people's 90, which is kind of frustrating, but it is the reality, I suppose. So I was just pushing with everything I got to try and get DRS and try and overtake him, which worked out in the end. Obviously, he was also trying to preserve, I think, tyres, and he didn't need to push, and he also had penalties and probably didn't want to get more, but I was still happy with that. And yeah, I don't regret anything. I think this race was the absolute maximum I had. I don't think I had a lap where I'll go, I regret doing this, or should have been on throttle more. I think this was the absolute maximum I could have gotten out of it with the pace that I currently have.
I think that was a brilliant turn 1 into the first corner. Absolutely awesome stuff and really well done for the start. It was a very, very good effort. Yeah, P2, lovely result, matching your best result so far this season. We go to Qatar next. It's a similar circuit, I'd say, regarding the twisty nature of it. Do you like Qatar?
No, I really hate it. But I don't really remember if you could DRS train well or not. So that will be a factor. But I mean, I'm not really great at it. But since my teammate has kind of done certain things, I think I can race my race on my own from this point onwards. So I think it might be a little bit easier to get good results without other things being in my mind. So I mean, we'll try. I mean, I have nothing to lose at this point. I'm so far behind, so we'll see what happens.
So we've got a Nifo winning streak inbound, I guess.
No, definitely not.
Yes,
if you look at the pure pace.
all right.
Okay.
Nifo is showing some great confidence there. We'll see you next time. Really good effort today. Thank you very much, Nifo. Well done.
Thank you.
And we move on to Tom. Tom, it was a good effort to try and get your teammate ahead of Peanuts. Didn't quite go the way you wanted it to there in the end. Are you still happy with your efforts today to try and get ahead of Peanuts?
Yeah, it was a really hard race. Usually I struggle in qualifying and have quite some good of a race pace. Today was, I feel like the first time was the other way around. I made a small mistake in my qualifying lap, else I could have been even 2 places further ahead. So I think it would have been starting P4, which would have been a crazy position for myself. And then the race, first few laps just trying to survive. But in all of the heavy braking zones, when all the lockups happened for all the people, there was suddenly so much smoke that I don't know if it was my PC or something else. But my game couldn't handle it. I had severe lag issues and going into heavy braking zones. And like the lag happened like midway turning in when I already released the brake. But because of the lag, it's a bit offset with timing, and I completely brake too late into the corner. Especially in the chicane, there was then laps I lost 2-3 tenths to all the others, which then resulted in me losing the AS train. And without the DS train, there's nothing much more possible. After the pit stops, I had a another lag issue. We're just like 1 second behind. Tried then to push a bit to get the lap or the gap closer. Managed then to pick up 5 track limits in 2 laps. While I had 1 track limit in 15 laps. More. So good effort, I would say. Yeah, and from that point on, my race was just over. Massive gap, too many penalties. My mind wasn't in the right place. And in the end, as I saw Devin's gap, I just tried to fight with Peanuts as much as possible, so Devin can get close. But with the medium tires regressing quite a bit in the end, he just didn't manage to get any closer to us, and even lost some time to us, even though we had a bit of fighting and so on going on. So that is really unlucky. Yeah, it was just not a good race weekend for our team in general.
Yeah, it looked tough. Ultimately, from last race, you improved an extra position, so you get some more points to your championship. And also from last Hungarian Grand Prix, it was a DNF, so you know that's a positive to look at. So well done. I'm very concerned for your PC with those smoke issues, but I hope that you're okay and you can get that sorted. Qatar, is that a circuit that you like on a controller?
I don't know if I drove it this game. Maybe at the start. With a bit of school stuff, the practice won't be there probably. Let's just say I figured out on my way on the race.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully it will go well for you there. The good news is that there is a very small chance of it raining, so you should be good. Thank you very much, Tom. Really good effort today, and we'll see you next time. And we move on to Peanuts. Peanuts, you had a hell of a battle all the way through, and you managed to stay ahead in the end. Are you happy with that result, or were you hoping for a bit more?
I mean, the thing is, going into qualifying, I absolutely ball it. It was a very bad lap for me. There was definitely a lot more pace in it. I wanted to be up there with Frantic. Shout out Frantic for the good qualifying and the crazy result being back to sim racing. It's just like I fucked up, or I screwed up qualifying, and then I got wing damage in lap 1, and I understood like P7 was going to be the max, because I saw that Devin was on hards, and there was a small chance of me beating him, because I did an VRL race, which I went extra long, and just like those mediums drop off like hell. So I did understand that P7 was the best max out there for me today. And then I realized, damn, Tom Brainer is going to try to play some funny games, because we lost a second in 1 lap. And I was like, I can't let this dude be in front of me, because if he is, he's just going to slow me down in the middle sector, and I'm not being Devin. So I did absolutely everything to try to get him, to stay ahead with my wing damage, which was not ideal. I would have rather just sat back and cruised behind him, but I was kind of worried. I knew what was coming, because I think that's what I would have done. But I was still not super pleased with how it turned out, and just knew I have to stay in front. And I did everything, and I don't think I made any big mistakes. I defended quite well where I parked it in some corners where we did low contact, which were just unfortunate incidents, and it was just generally good defended, and GG Simixon on the win.
Yeah, brilliant stuff from your teammate. Very well deserved there. Do you think it's fair to say going into Qatar you just need to try and sort some qualifying issues out and you'll be right up there?
I mean, yeah, I would say that. I think Qatar has been a little bit like Silverstone to me. A little more pace compared to other tracks, compared to the guys. I struggle around Hungary. I knew that going into here. But Qatar definitely, out of the tracks left, should be my most competitive track.
Awesome, awesome. I can't wait for that one. I hope it goes well for you there. Thank you very much, Peanuts. Really good effort today. And well done on staying ahead.
Thank you, and I'm officially better than Zingy.
Fair enough. Thank you very much, Peanuts. We move on to Frantic. The fans were definitely in the stands for you today. A brilliant start. They're roaring you on. I'm sure you heard them through the helmet. And then getting an extra position at the very end there to P4. Are you happy with that result?
Well, it has been fantastic, hasn't it? I must say, since the start of the real F1 season, I've been a bit more motivated to drive the F1 game again. It's been a while. I thought my race pace would be a bit poopy, but I was very pleased to see that I was keeping up with some of the LSI gang. I tried not to be too much in the way, since my pace wasn't quite there. Didn't really work out since I was holding everyone up and letting Simon get out of striking distance. He was quick throughout the entire race though, so I don't think it would have mattered that much in the end. Yeah, for my own race, my medium tires were dropping off like super quickly, and at the end my hards were overheating like crazy. So yeah, I think I've been grinding a bit too much Le Mans Ultimate lately, hence these issues. I think I'm not too sure. But yeah, I'm very pleased. Fun to drive with these people again. Genuinely hoping I can join more races. Shout out to my guy P for getting a decent result in Ferrari. P is short for Peanuts. Like I can call him P because we're close. So, and also like once I told Frantic Gang like that I was gonna race tonight, they were all gathering in front of my house. So they were chanting the entire race. I see them outside my home like right now. So I'm waving to them. Hey, yo, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're awesome. So yeah, looking forward to the next race. It's been amazing.
Brilliant. Well said. Qatar, if you are there, do you like that circuit? Is it something that suits you? Do you think you could get a podium?
Ooh, podium sounds good, but I'm not sure if I can get a podium in the 0.1 tier. Like that's where the big boys arrive. I will try my best, you know. Like you know how I do it. So yeah, I'll give it my best shot.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Frantic. It was really good to see you today, and well done on the good result.
Yeah, appreciate you.
And we move on to Charlie. Charlie, you gave it everything. Difficult with the time penalties. Ask in a second where did they come from, but just not quite having the answer for Samaxon in the early stages. Do you know where you lost out? Do you know like like where it could have gone better, or was it just no answer today?
General skill issue. I think
Is that like a
it's
Star Wars character or something?
Glove Shiro. I don't know. No, honestly, I think it's just the track choice, to be honest. This is my absolute worst track of every track that is in the game. Yeah, honestly, I was just... I'm basically just clueless on this track. I have no clue where to gain time or whatever. I was honestly today I was just driving, just minding my own business. Yeah, gained some time penalties, some really stupid warnings. Yeah, and to be honest, like I was only like actually pushing in the last few stages of the race because I was trying to stay 3 seconds then 6 seconds in front of Frantic and Igor, which worked fortunately. So yeah, P3 I'm happy. Still 100% podiums in this season, so
Yeah, definitely keeping the streak up, and it's good to know that was your worst circuit and it's now done, and you still got the podium. Qatar, it's a very similar circuit, but it's still very difficult to drive. Do you think you can get some good performance out of the car and take it to the top step once again?
it's completely different.
The bendiness is similar in the middle sector of Hungary. Generally, of course, there's a lot of differences, but you know, the bends, the corners, the some.
Oh yeah, it's high down for sure, but it's a completely different circuit. For me, I quite like Qatar. I think it has some charm to it, but it's difficult at the same time. Yeah, I think I'll just have to make a good race setup, and I'll be shooting for another podium, I think.
Awesome. I can't wait. Thank you very much, Charlie. Sorry for Heischler butting in there in the text chat on your interview. He needs to wait his time. All right. Thank you, Charlie. Really good effort today.
Thank you.
And finally, we do go for the man who's bursting to get a word in. Heischler, it was a different strategy call for you. Is that the best choice, do you think, you made today? Or do you think maybe it would have worked out a bit differently if you started on that medium?
I mean, I just didn't practice at all. I had 0 laps on Hungary before this race. I've been focusing all the time for PCL, like a same amount of hours for that. But there was a break week, so I don't have to do that now. But the Hungary race was, every lap I became better and better because I didn't do practice, so I needed to get used to the track during the race. I would say I lost around 4 seconds on stint 1 overall by mistakes, and then another 3 seconds maybe behind the slow medium runners. So if I didn't lose that time, I would have been ahead of Frantic and would have been within the penalty range of Charlie, so that would have been a podium. But yeah, I was just not up to pace. I would say I was at 60% of what I can do. So I don't really mind too much. I kept it clean. I didn't get any penalties. I only got 2 warnings in 1 lap, like late on in the race. So pace was not great. A lot of mistakes, but a lot of positives as well because I was consistent, and I think I can do a really strong ending to this season when I am done with PSL.
Awesome. Very well said. Don't really have too much more to say on that one. Qatar, that's going to be an interesting one. Do you like that circuit?
Yeah, I've been really strong around the track on this game. I'm really looking forward to it, since I will put the time that I usually do in PCL, I will put the time into LSI for next week. So it sounds a bit cocky maybe, but I actually think I will have a really good pace advantage on that track with the practice I will do. I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope I can win there.
Awesome. 2 poles so far this season. Let's make a win happen. Thank you very much, Heischler. We'll look forward to next time, and we'll see you there.
Thank you.
And we move on to your race winner, Sir Max, on a week break. You come back, you absolutely smash it. That was awesome. Turn 1, were you a bit worried that it wasn't going to go the way that it did go, or were you still confident in your pace?
In turn 1, I was just not sure anything can happen. I don't want to get in a crash, and then I knew that I need to take care of the mediums at the start and then push a little bit more at the end of the stint. I don't know, I just had pace today. It seems like Hungary is a good track for me, where I don't really know what I'm doing and what is the difference between what I'm doing and the other drivers are doing on this track. So just a good pace, a simply lovely win, and I hope it will stay like that for the next weekends. About Qatar, I don't really like that circuit, just as like half of the second on this game, but I don't know, maybe a podium, maybe not. We'll see.
We will see, and I do hope it goes well for you there. I guess the advice to all the other drivers to try and match you is just to push the pedal a bit harder. Thank you very much, Sir Maxon. Really good effort today. Well said in the interviews there. You are once again a victor in the championship, and you extend your lead. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And so after that, we get some excellent extending their championship lead and Ferrari taking the top spot in the Teams Championship. We will see you in Qatar where it continues once again. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow for the Hungarian Grand Prix for the F1.5 EU Championship. Good night.